And foremost, welcome to the Civic Experiments Grant virtual information session. Really excited to share this opportunity with you all today. I will introduce myself. I see a lot of familiar names and faces. My name is Shannon Millsaps. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Thrive Regional Partnership. Managing a lot of our grant programs, shepherding the team, and generally running all things that touch the operational standpoint of Thrive Regional Partnership. For any of you who have come to us and may not know who Thrive is, or this is your first encounter with Thrive as an organization, welcome. Thrive is a regional nonprofit community planning regional planning organization working across 16 counties here in the greater Chattanooga area across Southeast Tennessee, Northwest Georgia, and Northeast Alabama. We're really excited to share this opportunity with you today. So let's just go ahead and get right into why we are here. The Thrive Regional Partnership Civic Experiment Small Grant Opportunity. As you all have seen and registered for this, hopefully you've seen our landing page on the thriveregion.org website that has a lot of information about this grant opportunity. Applications are open now. But first, I want to say welcome. Thank you all for being here. And I could not do this without the support of Trust for Civic Life for this partnership, who is providing the funding for this opportunity across the Thrive region. And so again, thank you to you, thank you to the funder of this project, Trust for Civic Life. This really is a grant program that is about local ideas. It is about local leadership. It is about local solutions. This is not a traditional infrastructure or planning grant. As you hopefully have read and as we'll share today, this is really a grant about people coming together. For those of you who know Thrive, you know that our heart sits at the intersections of conversation, connection, and collaboration. So this was a no-brainer for us when we were presented with the opportunity to bring the Civic Experiment Grant program here to the Thrive region. What is a civic experiment? What is civic life? This means it's something different to a lot of folks, right? And we know that our region is changing and evolving. We know that communities are faced across the region with a changing landscape, with population growth, with transportation access issues, micro-mobility challenges, with development pressure. For those of you who know, again, our heart is in inspiring responsible growth. So those development pressures, loss of farmland, desire to leverage the arts for change, for any of those of you who have maybe been a part of the Thriving Communities program that Thrive was a part of for several years. This civic experiment opportunity is really meant to fund starting points. We know that many communities lack resources to even begin conversations around some of these challenges. And this, we believe, is an opportunity to help facilitate some of those conversations and start mobilizing communities towards action. So, what is a civic experiment? This definition, this first sentence, comes directly from Trust for Civic Life. What is a civic experiment? It is small local groups or projects introducing outlets and opportunities that encourage community members to connect, to collaborate, and solve problems together. Sounds great. These don't have to be large projects or hyper complex. Ideally, they strengthen belonging. They are helping make connections to our natural treasures, the built environment, the culture of a community. In our 16 counties and 77 municipalities, there's a lot of unique identity. And so these projects are meant to strengthen those communities. When you think about the outcomes of a civic experiment, if you were to talk to Trust for Civic Life and this project that we've brought on, what do civic experiments do? This will be a part of the application process. Civic experiments, again, bring people together for civic dialogue, shared learning, collaborative problem solving. They offer a lot of benefits, increased civic opportunity. This is, I like to think of this as residents gaining new ways to connect uh, in ways that are meaningful, are relevant, are authentic, are enjoyable. Think downtown events, small festivals, community gardens. These experiments are meant to increase civic participation. What is civic participation? To us, that means more people getting involved, including residents who aren't always invited into community life. If you've been to a Thrive event, you have heard us say, who was not at this event, who is not at this table that should have been? And can you help us get them there? Participation becomes more consistent, more representative when you're bringing folks together around common challenges. Examples of this could include things like volunteer trail associations or community centers providing new programming, leadership training. We've heard some rumblings of that as potential in some folks' applications. And civic experiments ultimately are meant to solve problems. Neighbors uniting around a shared challenge. Shared challenges require shared solutions, making measurable progress within this year. So again, when you think about, these are not large, complex projects, but they are meant to be executed upon from this summer through November and reported back out on in December. And we'll talk a little more specifically about that timeline here in a moment. But again, neighbors uniting around shared challenges, making measurable progress. Civic experiments in your application, you're going to be given the option to select one of these three or two of these three, or I think the best civic experiments will hit all three of these potential outcomes. But these are the things we're asking you to report out on towards the end of this grant program. So who can apply? I see a lot of these folks represented on the call. Eligible applicants have a valid IRS determination letter confirming their 501c3 status. So nonprofits, native tribal agencies, public institutions, local governments, religious institutions, schools, small businesses, individuals, and even informal community groups with an approved fiscal sponsor. And if anyone has any questions about that, I'm happy to talk about that in a little more detail. One thing that these grants must be and not be, they must be non-political and non-partisan. They must have leadership working in and living in these communities across our 16 county footprint here in the Thrive region. They must not be, as you can see here, a 501c4, and they must not be operated by Thrive, which is really exciting for us to be able to work with you and support you all in doing the things that you want to do while they're not owned or operated by Thrive. That said, we will be here with you along the way. What does funding look like? What are the reporting requirements? Reporting is simple. These funding applications can be anywhere from $1,000 to $25,000. Obviously, I'll go ahead and answer one of the questions we've gotten a couple of times is how many grants? Well, that depends. It depends on the strength of the applications that we receive and how much funding is being requested. So our goal is to fund at least 10 projects, but it could look like 15 or 20 smaller grant projects, or it could look like a handful of large grant projects. Really, these range, again, $1,000 to $25,000 at the cap. And the reporting is simple. You see it right here. A 500-word summary. This is what we're going to be asking you for in December if you are awarded a Civic Experiment Grant. A 500-word summary that tells us what you did. Some data gathering around the number of events you hosted or held, the number of people that you engaged, whether or not you were able to leverage this opportunity alongside additional matching funds to increase the impact. To be clear here, matching funds are not a requirement of the grant, but it is something that we hope to track and report out on if these funds were again helping you leverage other matching funds to increase impact. And at least 2 photos. So we can share some information with you about and even a video or a media photo release if you need that. We're happy to share a template with you there, and you'll want to gather those things as you're getting photos. But at least 2 photos, a 500-word summary, how many events, how many people, and were there matching funds. Again, reporting meant to be a low lift and very simple. And we will support you. Both myself and Kendra McCahill, Thrive's Grant Compliance Coordinator, will be in touch with you throughout the process, letting you know what to expect. And again, this is about learning and about storytelling. This is not meant to be bureaucratic red tape. We want to deploy these dollars quickly and efficiently into your communities. Now for a slide that I stole from the funder themselves because it was easier than recreating it myself. Let's talk a little bit about those increased civic opportunities, increased participation, and solving problems. These are the success metrics that were shared with us from our funder, our funding partner, Trust for Civic Life. More residents, again, relevant, meaningful, fun ways to engage. What are some examples? And again, we've already had conversations with some of you one-on-one and know what you're planning and are very excited about those things, but it could be a community garden or a sewing club, business associations, neighborhood groups, block parties. Summer block party sounds pretty fun. What is increased participation? Is that leadership training? Is it a volunteer-led trail association? Is it a park cleanup day? Is it a community center offering programs? And then solving problems, again, helping revitalize downtowns, leveraging these dollars for match dollars to do something greater. Feeding your community through a community garden. A book club that is meant for new residents of your town, potentially. Again, these are just some basic examples, but we do believe that strong applications are going to clearly describe the civic opportunity ahead of you. Those strong applications are going to show how people will gather and participate. They'll identify who benefits in your community, demonstrate feasibility, and reflect local leadership. Again, we really want to make sure that this is being catalyzed within the tri-state region with local leadership. What this is not is a capital construction grant. This is not meant to be used for political advocacy. It's not funding for ongoing operations alone, and again, not Thrive-led programming. Timeline, and then we're doing so well on time. I hope to open the floor for any number of questions or conversation around potential. Hopefully, you're all also checking who else has dropped their information in the chat. Potentially, there's some partnerships that could occur here based on some common goals. But let's talk about the timeline. We're doing the virtual information session today. Welcome, February 23rd on this very cold, I don't know about y'all, but somewhat snowy. I got the Star Wars effect on my drive-in to the office this morning with snow flurries. But welcome to the virtual info session today. As a reminder, again, the applications process is open. Those applications are due by March 31st. So you got plenty of time, a little over a month left. Those award decisions will be finalized by April 30th. So in April, the Thrive team, along with a selection committee, will be reviewing and scoring all of these applications, and we will make those award decisions by the end of April. Our goal is to distribute funding in May after a brief grantee orientation, and then those projects will be implemented through the summer. Could start in May if you already have all your ducks in a row. But ideally, those projects are going to run from June to November, and then also go ahead as you are making your plans. Pencil in October 7th through the 9th because we plan to do a summit showcase at the Tri-State Summit this year with some of our funded projects. We really want to highlight the success that you all are having and celebrate you as you go through this process. So Not exactly sure what that showcase will look like, but we do want to make sure that you've got that penciled in, and we'll be able to participate in the Tri-State Summit this year, October 7th through the 9th. It will be hosted here in Chattanooga. And then final report out. Grantees will be required to complete that brief report out. Again, 500-word summary, number of events, number of people, potential match funding, and at least 2 photos. We'd love to have more because, again, we really want to highlight and celebrate the work that is accomplished through this program. And those final reports will be due by December 11th. That gives us the 2-week turnaround time we need to do our reporting back to the funder with Trust for Civic Life. And so with that, I'm actually going to pause. There's a lot of folks on the call. Again, I know there's been a lot of interest. I'm really excited to see you all and be a resource to you through this process. If you have not seen the application itself, let me see if I can actually do that. Yeah, without losing you guys. Can everybody still see my screen? But now it's the Thrive website. Awesome. Um, this is the landing page. So when you go to thriveregion.org, if you click up here on initiatives, and scroll down just a little bit, the Civic Experiment Grant Program is going to be the first box you see here on the left. Once you click read more, this is going to take you to our Civic Experiment Grant Program page. This is going to have all of the information that I just shared with you around the timeline, around the opportunity, what you need to do to prepare. And then once you click apply for grant, it's going to launch you to a very simple Google form. If you are like me, you like to see those questions in advance rather than clicking through the Google form. And so as you'll see here in this section of preparing for the application, you can actually click on that and it will take you to a version that you can review and see all of the information that we're going to be asking of you. So if you want to do a review ahead of time, take a look here. And that way you know exactly what we're asking you for. Organization mission statement, a brief history, current operating budget. We're going to be asking you to choose where you're primarily located and any additional counties in the tri-state region that you serve. Name your project. That's always fun. Explain how this funding will be used. Again, we're limiting that to 1,000 characters, not even 1,000 words, 1,000 characters. This is meant to be a simple application process. We're going to be asking you to share with us what goals your project will meet, one or all three, how it's advancing your stated goals, and if there's anything else you want to share. I will change this because this should be a 25,000. What is the total cost of the project? If there's anything more, if you are operating as a 501c3, we'd love to see the names of your current board members and their affiliations. This helps us in a variety of reasons because, like I said, we do have a local selection committee, so we just want to know in advance if there's any sort of conflict of interest we need to be aware of. And then if you are applying under a fiscal sponsor, so if you are, say, an informal community group and you want to partner with your local nonprofit, we're going to be asking you to share that information and the confirmation that they are aware that you're going to levy them as a fiscal sponsor. And then some general declarations about the grant overview and what will be expected of you in the process. And so with this, I will drop my screen so that I can see those of you who are here and can see your faces and I can see everyone else's names. And just ask very simply if there are any questions that are burning in your brain that I can help you answer today. Any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas you want to pitch to a partner you see on the call, anything like that that we can help you with today before we end our call. I will also check the chat. I closed it because it was getting busy for a minute, which is a good problem.
Like we have a raised hand for Xander.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kendra. Hey, Xander.
Hey, how are you doing? All
I'm
right.
well.
Yeah, cold out here, ain't it? So,
Um, it's a little silly, yes.
yes. I represent Logia Nonprofit Logistics, and what we do is we take items that would normally be discarded by our business sector and turn them into in-kind donations for the nonprofits that need them in this area. So I'm wanting to find partners that I can work with to help fund their projects with in-kind donations and that sort of thing. So I'd like to be a part of whoever is doing projects in here, supporting what they're doing. We have all sorts of different items, so you just reach out to me. Um, One of the things that I was looking at, and I know that you said ongoing operations was usually not one of the things you would apply for with this, but with the way that our operations are kind of a civic thing, because what we do is for instance, our project's going to be like going out to um, construction sites and gathering stuff for nonprofits so that we can do, you know, repairs on houses and things like that. Would that be like kind of an exception, or do you think that would be too much into operations? Because like I have other
Uh,
projects that I do as well. Like we do the food, the clothing drives, and things like that as well.
yeah, I think in the simplest way to answer the question, I think that it would all be in the application that you wrote and how focused it was on one particular effort.
Right.
Again, just sort of general operating funds is not what this opportunity is, but I think that
Right.
as based on what I'm hearing, as you think through what a partnership potentially with some other folks even on this call could look like, there
Yeah.
could be an opportunity to deeply focus in on a civic experiment, a civic engagement, and again, understanding that the hope behind this work is to bring people together, and
Mm-hmm.
so we would want to see what that ultimate operate program or operation would look like, and
Mm-hmm.
under try to understand how it would increase civic participation, how it would bring people together around common challenges. So I think that would
Awesome.
be the challenge. There would just be making sure that the application is laid out in a way that helps the steering committee, the selection committee, understand how you see that particular operation increasing civic participation and civic engagement.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Alex in the chat asked, can we use other grant funds as a match, other donated funds as a match? I would say yes, absolutely. That I would lean on each of you to understand who that other grantee is or other grant opportunity is. I think if it's donated funds or investment, and you are outlining in your application that you as an organization have some funds to levy as match, that would show up in a basic program budget and understanding how the funds were being used. But otherwise, it would be incumbent on each of you to understand who that other grantor is and whether or not you could leverage those funds in that way. Sarah, I see a hand.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I live in Flintstone, and I'm part of an informal community group that is working on. We would love to see the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia rail line become a greenway that connects to the St. Elmo, like the Virginia Ave Greenway, and then ultimately the Riverwalk. So there's been a big feasibility study, like a broad level, Northwest Georgia. um, my question is, because you said this couldn't be used for capital construction. So I just want to understand what exactly could we apply for, like a smaller scale feasibility study for the first mile, or use it for community engagement with all the folks who live along the line and this sort of thing, but we wouldn't be able to use the funds to actually build part of the trail. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that
Mhm.
again, ultimately, in that application, we would want to see how. how the community is being engaged, and our hope would be that these funds could, in this sort of hypothetical example, understand what costs are associated with bringing people together. Is it mailers? Is it data gathering? Is it understanding from the community? Is this something, based on what I'm hearing, is this something the community wants? And how do you bring them along with you in this process? And so what we want to see, I think, is how these funds could seed those conversations. And again, ultimately, perhaps there is some activity that occurs. I think, with the quick deployment of these dollars, that is, I think, our primary concern around doing sort of any sort of large scale construction project, and its ability to be launched in late May, early June, and completed by November. But I think that what based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like there could be a strong application opportunity around the community engagement piece of what you're trying to do with folks there in the Chattanooga Valley. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. I think I saw one more hand, but now it went down. But if there's anyone else who has a question, feel free to unmute yourself or drop that in the chat.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey.
I have a question.
What's up, Joel?
Yeah, hey, kind of piggybacking on that last one, but trying to understand the boundaries between, like, community gardens were brought up a lot, and there would be a material cost, like an infrastructure building to establish that. Is there any clarity you can offer between kind of what construction is versus whatever a garden would be?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I'm also jotting these questions down so I can make sure we can add a few things to our FAQ. So what construction costs might be allowable? As civic experiments are meant to create spaces for people to gather and collaborate, that absolutely can mean limited project specific improvements around, like, as an example, both from ourselves and from the funder, community gardens, and understanding how that directly enables civic participation. I think those things are generally appropriate. As some additional examples of what might be allowable, that I could see that being minor improvements to create or improve a space. I'm thinking about my own neighborhood and our local park, and the work that we're trying to do to add a native garden, to add benches or picnic tables, or potentially a shade structure. Is there an opportunity for a small platform if you're thinking about doing sort of porch sessions and neighborhood block party style thing? Are there temporary or pop-up installations that might be necessary for you to host a gathering? Is it a 10 by 10 pop-up tent? Is it renting or purchasing potentially seating and understanding, or signage and understanding how that is going to support those installations? I think accessibility improvements tied to participation, absolutely something that would be allowable in this setting. Is that a temporary ramp? Is that lighting? Is that ASL interpreters to, again, increase accessibility tied to the events that you're thinking about hosting? I think that the test might be, does this cost directly enable people to gather, to participate, to collaborate? Where when you think about a major capital construction, this is not funding the building of a new facility or a full building renovation or land acquisition. It's not paving roads in sort of infrastructure heavy projects. It's not doing, deeply engineered necessary improvements. But again, I think that framing question is, does this cost directly enable people to gather, to participate, or to collaborate? And understanding that in your application, I think, is what's going to help us and help the selection committee make those decisions.
So that final question that you posed is perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry. I thank you for bearing with me as I worked through that myself in a way that best explained. Again, civic participation is the central component here. It should not be the secondary component.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mariella, yes, absolutely. We're going to provide this recording of the entire session on the thriveregion.org website. So you will be able to access this recording. We can also share these slides. We can post those on the website as well. Adam, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Shannon. So just a little background. We work with a lot of churches. I don't know how to oh, there we go. We work with about 80 churches that go from Lafayette, Georgia to Soddy Daisy, Tennessee. And we basically gather them in networks. Our main thing is that we get them to pray together with the hope that they eventually start serving together. So for the past 3 years, we've had about 8,000 people served through multi-church service projects. So not just like one big church, but these are like usually smaller church communities that have a variety of different, backgrounds, ethnicities, etc. And they come together and they serve. So we've got a proven model, and so we're sure we're going to land this plane. But this year we're starting an in-town service trip where basically we're going to get a bunch of people that are going to stay in one location. We're still working on that location. We're working with certain nonprofits and partners that these churches already work with to serve. But I can't tell you 100%, and I'm not sure I'm going to know by March 31st precisely what those things will be. I can speak to, these are the guys we're talking to right now, and these are the things that we've done in the past, and we're pretty sure it's going to land here. But the trip isn't until June 11th through 13th, and sometimes things come up. How clear and how nebulous? I mean, it'll be within like we are going to be serving 3 schools or 4 schools. We just don't know exactly what the schools need, and we're going to be working on this park, etc. And we're going over here to Chambliss to do some improvement projects, but we're not sure what improvement projects we're doing at Chambliss yet. How clear, nailed down do we need things in order to apply for this? Am I making sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, I think so.
Because this is a first year trip that we're doing.
Yeah. If I'm following correctly, this sounds like it could be sort of a community-wide service day or series of days that address specific challenges that may be found within certain communities. Is that fair as a sort of overgeneralization? Yeah. Okay, great. Yes, I think again the key here would be if the application is structured correctly. So a service trip that is encouraging people to gather, encouraging people to collaborate, again, is non-political, non-partisan, and focuses on a shared community challenge. I think that absolutely could be a worthy application, especially if it's engaging people who don't normally work together. Again, if it can happen within this year. I think that, if we were to look at what probably would not qualify, that would be an event that is primarily for religious worship. I think that that gathering people together around a common challenge is key. I think that again, public benefit is something that you deeply want to consider as a part of the application. But based on what I'm hearing, it does sound like, yes, that there's something that you could reasonably put together that may then further solidify what you're actually reporting out on at the end. If in the application we're understanding well that this is including community members across multiple, it sounds like church memberships, and is resulting in increased civic engagement.
Yeah, so it'll be like the volunteers from the churches, and there's a religious component, but that's not what we're fundraising for here. We actually have somebody that's covering that component. We're talking about hey, we're going to go we're going to go paint this school, or we're partnering with the Beth Center in order to, help them reach their community kind of thing. And we mainly are bringing the volunteers because we work with these pastors that, have sort of community collateral, and they can get, if you get 30 churches and you get 5 volunteers per church, you got 150 people that are coming to do something. That's kind of what we're thinking. But I guess
it sounds like you're onto something there that would be a qualifier.
I guess I'm just asking, if I put on the grant, we are coming to the Beth Center to do some projects that they are going to be helping us with. I just can't nail down precisely what those projects are by March 31st because the trip isn't until June 11th. So is that too nebulous for you all, or is it okay to say, like, we've secured Beth Center, we just don't know precisely where we're landing the plane yet, but I can already say we've got 12 communities that are for sure going to be involved, but we're just at the initial stages of this. And we'll be further down the road by March 31st.
Yeah. And again, I think, the specific activities of the event, maybe in this application, I think that could be explained in how you present the opportunity. And again, with that focus on civic participation, civic engagement, I think that being the primary focus from the application standpoint, and then understanding that there are sort of multiple events and how that might feed into this ultimate goal would be what I would encourage you to think about as you're working on your application.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Check the chat again. Any other questions before we wrap up today? Great. Hopefully that pause was long enough. I'm not very good with silence on Zoom calls. But again, thank you all for being here, for being a part of this info call, being a part potentially of this new grant program that Thrive is administering in partnership with Trust for Civic Life. I will drop my email into the chat. It is there. If anyone has any questions, who can we email if we think of something later? Samantha, email me. You can email me. You can also email info@thriveregion.org, and that will get routed to the right place. Again, anything that comes up between now and when applications are due on March 31st, please feel free to reach out to our team. We can hop on a Zoom call. We can meet and make sure that you've got all of the information you need. Take a look at that application on the website. Again, you'll see that it is meant to be as low barrier as possible to get these funds deployed into our 16 counties. So thank you again for being a part of today, and I hope to see applications from each and every one of you. Again, remember, $1,000 to $25,000 is the opportunity here, and we're really excited to see what you all come up with and work with you on this work and through this process.